Well, hello there, and thank you for downloading the When You're Smiling podcast from BBC Radio Leicester. I am here, stood at King Power Stadium, the rain tumbling down as Leicester City hosted Southampton in the Championship. The first of two games against the Saints this week. It has been a miserable past 10 days. 2 defeats in a row with 2 first half red cards, a points deduction, a managerial sacking. It has all been going on here at Leicester City. And so there was hope tonight that this might be the game that turned the tide. There was certainly hope when Leicester City were 3-0 up at half time. Certainly more hope when they were 3-0 up after an hour. But in one of the most disastrous and calamitous collapses in this club's history, they fell to a 4-3 defeat, which leaves them still where they started this Tuesday evening match, one place above the relegation zone. This was the moment when Southampton scored their 4th, sending this place into, well, utter desperation.
Nelson's had his pocket pinched there by Charles. It's back to Charles, who finds the back of the net with a stunning left-footed strike, and Southampton have won it right at the death with less than 30 seconds of added time remaining. It is a stunning turnaround from Southampton at the end of this game. But the crumble and collapse from Leicester City is even more stark. Andy King has his head facing the ground. Leicester City have gone from 3-0 up to 4-3 down. And the boos are not waiting until full time. They're echoing around King Power Stadium now. Shea Charles with the winner. Leicester 3, Southampton 4.
When You're Smiling, a Leicester City podcast from the BBC.
And do you know the worst thing? You said it several times, Pipes, how inevitable it felt. 3-0, how can it seem inevitable that you will lose when you're 3-0 up after an hour?
Yeah, I don't think, even I didn't go
As
that early.
When the first goal went in.
Yeah, when
it just got worse and worse and worse?
Yeah, I mean, because, do you know what? I feel like I know this group. I know this football club. I know this board. I know it now. And a lot of us do. And that's why when it went 3-1, I said to Owen, and I'm not a clairvoyant or anything like that, I just know this group of players. I know everything that is negative about this football club at the minute. And I said we need a 4th goal. If we don't get a 4th goal and Southampton get a second, we'll get tight. And I didn't expect us to lose the game. I thought it was going to go as bad as 3-3, and from a 3-0 up at half time, winning position, cruising, to have lost that game is an absolute joke. It's not a disgrace, it's an absolute joke. We're pointing fingers at everyone, the board, the players. Kingy's made some mistakes tonight, but listen, it's not his fault. He's an interim manager. Could have made changes early when he felt that tide changing, because I felt it, the fans felt it, all of us felt it. I thought he had to get fresh legs on in that midfield. They weren't closing down anymore, and Southampton was sort of controlling the play, bringing him onto us. And then this group, though, what Kingy can't legislate for is a group of players that are as good as they were in the first half. This is why this group make you so angry, because when everything's going well and things are in their favour, and it reminds me of the analogy of the training ground. When they're turning up at the £100 million training ground and everything's done for them and life's beautiful and the sun's shining on your face, it's easy to play good football. But when Southampton turn it up, and credit to their manager, by the way, 3 changes at half time, turns it up, gets a little bit more in our face, gets a little bit aggressive, gets the goal he's looking for. He probably said to them at half time, when these lot concede, I'm telling you now, you win the game, because they'll crumble, because they've done it all season and they've done it again tonight. That is an absolute disgrace of a performance and an absolute joke.
The atmosphere in here is extraordinary. There are people singing. You probably hear it in the background. You're not fit to wear the shirt. There's a group of hardcore fans over on the far side who waited to give their review of the performance. There were a few sort of desultory claps from the players as they walked off. It was, I don't know if you spotted this, I think it was when the equaliser came in, and the camera went to Andy King, who just looked despondent, just looked like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what I can do. That was, his face was a picture.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't see it, but I heard Owen reference it in commentary. I feel sorry for him. I think, I said it in the first two games, and that they let him down with the way that they performed, and you know what, they've gone and done it again. He's come out and he's protected them in some of those second halves of the last two games. I think he said, listen, we really, they picked the performance up. We were poor in the first half, but they picked the performance up. But I've said it for a long time now, and it pains me to talk about this group like this, because I don't like talking like this. I think, anyone that knows me well knows that I don't want to be on a radio ranting and shouting and spitting down the microphone. But when you get a group like that are so, against rolling their sleeves up when time gets tough, it's infuriating. It's infuriating. There's anger, there's apathy, there's negativity, and this is Leicester City at the minute.
When you go, it will have happened in your career, it happens all the time, that the 3-1 goal happens and you get that swing of momentum. It's perfectly natural. There's nothing, no matter how good you can do it. Alex Ferguson's Man United would have had it. What do you need at that point? So take me onto the pitch at that point. What do you need to see from your team and the group as that happens?
Well, it's nice to see some energy and some closing down, and someone that is trying to stop crosses, tackles, because that's what Southampton were trying to do. They were trying to get it wide at every opportunity and swing it into the penalty area. Ross Stewart was a huge handful when he came on. His goal was delightful, the way that he finished it. I thought it was a super cute finish. But at that point, that's where you have to kill the game. You kill the game in two ways. You have to shut up shop at the back. Maybe could have brought the cells on sooner, but they needed protecting in front. So, you either win the game by protecting what you've got, or you have to go and score another goal. And I thought at that opportunity, as soon as it went 3-1 and Leicester sort of wrestled a little bit of control back then for 5 or 10 minutes and were on the front foot, we kept the ball well, we created some opportunities in that 10-minute period after Southampton scored that first goal. That was the time to double down and try and go and get that fourth. And I don't think the team pushed for that. I think they let the goal that went in harm their confidence like they've done all season. And, you pick out the words out of a hat what you want to call this group. Flimsy, weak. They just fold at every occasion when adversity comes around. And, if I've not known a team like this, that's why, in years to come, they'll be quite interesting to analyse, because you can't have, when do you ever see a team perform like that in the first half? We're talking one of the best performances of the season. Listen, Southampton weren't great, but Leicester, how they put it together. Such a good front running side. When the confidence is up, they all can play, they all want the ball, they're all brave on it, they're all aggressive. As soon as the adversity happens, that's when they absolutely fold, and that's what's so infuriating about this group.
You touched on this, Pipes, but you didn't go this far. In fact, you sort of said the opposite, but I'll put this point to you. Boss Humbo on X says, legend or not, King cost us that match. Changed the whole shape at 3-1, and he's not a fan of Luke Thomas either. He says, my club is dying. Your thoughts on that first point about the changes Andy King made?
Yeah, I thought he made mistakes. I don't particularly think in that point. I think he should have, if he was going to go for a fourth goal, he should have gone earlier. I think clearly it's only his third game in management. I'm much more of the thought process, and that's why I said it early in the second half, go and get the fourth and the game's done. There's no way well, who knows tonight with this group of players, but I thought if it had gone 4-1, that would have just killed that comeback spirit of Southampton. So that's what I would have been asking for from my team. But you can you can sort of understand why he did what he did, but there's no way on earth you can point a finger at Andy King. Yes, he's made mistakes, but that is the group of players out on the pitch. That is not stepping up to adversity on the pitch, in the moment, rolling your sleeves up when adversity hits. They've done it all season. They've let him down in the previous 2 games. Has he made mistakes and could he have done more in that second half? Yes, of course. But there's no way that 3-0 up at half-time and then it going 4-3, you're going to blame an interim manager for that. That is the group of players.
At 3-3, I was really shocked. I knew you were saying it, you could sort of see it coming, the goal, but I was amazed by the attitude of the players. Southampton were just bundling them out the way. They were winning every header. And so again, I asked you at that 3-1 point, what's it like on the pitch and what do you need on the pitch? But I'm sort of thinking, like, I imagine you probably can't understand what it's like on a pitch when players are playing like that. The effort and endeavour seemed to go. It was like they weren't up for the fight. What's going? How does that happen?
I don't know, Adam. I honestly don't know. The performance level is obviously attached to, and people ain't going to want to hear this, but this is the answer that I would give. The performance level that this group of players is attached to the confidence level. And if the confidence is not there in the moment of adversity, it just drops off a cliff. But for me, that's not professional sport. You're taught to dig in when things get tough. Especially at this football club. Our tagline, while this King Power group is still in charge with the powers that be, that tagline needs wiping out. It does at the minute. It's just so phony to say the Foxes never quit when we see performances like that and what we've seen this season. It's an absolute disgrace. I'm pleased I'm on the radio because my missus would divorce me for how much I would be swearing. Honestly, she hates me swearing, and if I was at home now and I seen that result come in, I probably would have been in bed by now thinking we've cruised it 3-0 at half time. That's the mad thing. Even someone, obviously I'm not going to say who it is, but someone, a Leicester staff member at half time, tongue in cheek maybe, but he obviously knows this is the apathy around this football club at the minute. I was like, wow, what a performance at half time. Just as I was coming out the toilet, he was just going in the toilet. He said, can't trust them yet.
It says a huge amount, that, doesn't it? Even though it was a joke, wasn't it? Obviously, but there's so much in that comment. There
is, and even though he laughed, but a tiny bit of my brain thought, do you know what? If Southampton got one, this lot, and that's why I did want to reference, and it's not I told you so because all the crowd know this, so I'm not trying to big myself up, but I did say when it went 3 in the first half, I said this lot are great, front running, confidence, everyone wants the ball. Everyone wants to get on it and show how good of a player they are. They're even aggressive, Adam. This is the crazy, weird thing about this group of players. They're aggressive. They're front-footed. They show desire, but only when they're winning or things are going their way. When it shifts and it goes against them, no one wants to roll their sleeves up. And that is just not good enough at this level of football.
And so how... I guess I just can't get my head around how that happens for professional sports people who will have got there in the first place by having that mental and physical strength, by having that competitive spirit, to lose it in such dramatic fashion, to be with other professionals and to have that happen to you. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and this is why I've likened it to the consciousness of the group. Yeah. Do you understand what I mean? So it infiltrates the whole consciousness of all this negativity and apathy that is around this football club at the minute. And the way that I would explain it, things like this only filter downwards. So when it's not good enough at the top and the leadership and the strength is not shown at the top, it filters down to managers, to players, and then we're left here. I can't believe how foresightful the other half of the King Power of not turning up tonight. They must have knew. Yeah. They must have known, because I was thinking at half-time, wow, they've all missed out. That's one of the best performances of the season. At half-time. And then at the end of the second half, it's one of the worst performances and absolute crumbles you've ever seen in Championship history, I would imagine. That's a shocker.
It must be. I cannot imagine there's been a bigger comeback than that, or more of a comeback than that in Football League history. I think I'm just going to read a few tweets out, because there's the sort of theme in them that stands out. Kieran, I'm not surprised we lost. I actually just don't care now, from Lee. Ryan, I've had enough of this now. Darren, should be shocked or surprised, but I'm not. There's a few more here. Lost for words. The biggest shock of the night is that some are surprised at the level of ineptitude. The fact that, as you sort of touched on in that last answer, that apathy, I'm surprised at I'm not surprised at the lack of anger, actually, because it felt like it was coming. Just take us into how that fan base must be feeling, and what that has said about the performances, that people feel that way about their own team.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally detached from the football club. You know, before the game even kicked off, and I was sort of wondering, well, you asked me, didn't you, what's it going to be tonight? And I have no clue with this group, and I haven't for a lot of the season. And then you sit down and you think, wow, we're kind of on it tonight. They started the game pretty well. Daka was good. Listen, I ain't having anyone say anything about Daka tonight. I thought while he was on, ran his socks off, held the ball up, should have scored a second in the second half. But for the level what Daka was at, to where he got to in that first half performance, I thought was really good. So listen, credit to him. But it just begs belief. And you've asked me about the fans, and I consider myself a big fan of this football club, and I feel detached from the football club at the minute. I feel like, you know, the right decisions aren't being made. I thought when I listened to the chairman's interview, he seemed ultra naive. And, you know, this is the worst it's been for me, I think. Obviously, I've been in teams that have been relegated at this football club, but, you know, we didn't have collapses like that. We were just not good enough, but we ran, we tried, we fought. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And you're just not seeing that in this group when it's only against adversity. They're obviously a talented group. And if they went 1-0 up against, the side that I played in at the football club, they'd probably beat us. Well, who knows after tonight? But if we went 1-0 up, there's no way them lot are beating us, because they just fold.
Let's read a few more tweets. They are incredibly indicative of the situation at the moment. Rudd just said, my 45 years of following Leicester through the glory days and the dark days, this is on the brink of me walking away until those in charge get out of my football club. Everything is beyond toxic at this club. They deserve League One football. Club is a disgrace. Kieran, 3-0 up and cruising. Not surprised we lost. Once great football club is a laughing stock. League One is imminent. If things don't change off the pitch, we will be in League Two. Let me bring you some. Leicester have lost their sense of identity. This is from Ryan. Continuing factors from the boardroom down to the pitch will have a major impact come the end of the season, going on to the next. If we go down, it's a failure of those at the top to act effectively. Yeti boy, if any of us perform like this at our jobs, we'd be sacked months ago. It's an impossible challenge to rebuild, as all the players and coaching staff should go, says Yeti. It's probably a bit far, but never mind, our board. thank you for David says, all season we've been incapable of playing two halves of football. This is a new low. This is beyond a crisis. Our highest paid bunch of underachieving players. Play the kids. I am absolutely done. There's more here. Dave from Groovy with a very pertinent text. I think it's the most embarrassing, shocking, shameful and painful time to be a Leicester City fan. No wonder the KP was less than half full tonight. It's nothing to do with the weather, it's watching that absolute shower. We are a joke, a horror show. Where's the new manager? It calls for new people in the boardroom as well, and when will those realise that people have to go at the top of the club? It's so much worse than 2008 when they were relegated to League One. We're going down there, and I fear we will stay there for a number of years. This is about the hierarchy at the club, isn't it? That's how this feels. It's as a wider issue.
Yes, I think so. I mean, ultimately, that's what it is. A lot of people have got to that point where they don't think, things are going to change on the pitch or with any great effect moving forward unless there's a change there. And I have to say I agree with them. I think, I said this maybe first a few months ago, but I've been saying it a lot, that Top doesn't have to have a look at himself anymore. He has to understand that it's got to a point that is unsavable, I think, by him and the King Power Group. The time is finished. It's over. We had a wonderful time together. Take those memories before you taint it too much, that it downgrades those memories you gave us. Because the King Power, I will always be indebted to him. I think all of us Leicester fans will. The dad was amazing. Top was amazing. We won the Premier League, we won the FA Cup. We've had some wonderful, wonderful times that I never thought I would see in my life and my kids would see, and we've seen it, and they delivered us that. Please don't now, leave those times with us. You take them as memories. You move on, we move on, because this club is going to keep going downwards while you're still in charge.
Toxic was the word, wasn't it, that stood out to me. This feels this was a toxic place at the end of that game, but it feels more systemic. Yeah,
it is, and it's been that way for a while. And you can bring a new manager in that gets a bounce, and he gets a few of the players on side, and then all of a sudden you get a bounce in results, and you're fighting near the top end of the table again. But for real change and to take this club forward over the longer term, I do think it needs to be a sale and a whole new refresh and a new start. And I thought he was naive in that interview that I heard him about football on the pitch, but I also think he's naive thinking that he can turn this around. I don't. If he proves me wrong, listen, I'll be the first to hold my hands up and shake his hand and say thanks for proving me wrong. But I just think it's gone too far now, and it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. And as there's an inevitability on the pitch, and we can call it at 3-1 that we're going to lose this game, I think there's an inevitability off the pitch that this is only going to keep getting worse unless he sells the football club.
Let's hear some voice notes, shall we? As I mentioned, extraordinary fan reaction tonight. First up, let's hear from Luke.
Just wanted to say, again, classic Leicester. They only ever play for half a game, and they've done it again tonight. First half, probably one of the best halves of football they've played all season. By far the better team, playing some really good stuff. Second half, just absolutely terrible. Just looked like a different side. Sloppy, careless. They didn't look fit to me. They looked knackered. King, all right, it's not his fault because he's been thrown in there, but tactically we're poor. One thing we've done all season is let loads of goals in, so to go and play 5 at the back with 15-20 minutes to go, you're just asking them to come and have a go and invite pressure. And for a fact that pressure means goals against Leicester, so that was a big mistake. They need to get some win ASAP, because that group of lads need something to get them going, because we're sleepwalking right into relegation at the minute.
And then let's hear also from Simon, who sent us this voice note.
That has summed up our past couple of seasons. Top and Rudkin are absolutely clueless. Nearly 4 weeks since we got rid of Cifuentes and still no closer to getting a permanent manager. That performance, it's never a full 90 minutes performance from the players. It's always a game of two halves. Again, they were cruising at 3-0. So, and they just took the foot off the gas because they thought, oh, we're going to win this easy. They are taking things for granted. They are a bunch of below average players, most of them, and they're taking the absolute mickey out of the fans.
League One has been mentioned quite a bit already over the past week, Pipes. Look, there is no doubt, is there, that if they continue to play like that, if they have performances like that, they are lucky that Sheffield Wednesday will get relegated. Oxford are at risk of being cut adrift. Poor result for them tonight as well. But
it's tight after that.
It's tight after that for that one remaining space, perhaps two remaining spaces, and they are probably the most out of form team in out of all of those around them. Blackburn, Portsmouth, West Brom, Charlton.
Yeah, they are, and like in game, you can sort of see it and feel it. I think the fans did tonight. We did on the radio that. You know, that inevitability about being reeled back in and possibly going to lose the game. I think there's an inevitability as well that they're going to just keep, getting peppered week in, week out. Because, listen, what this has done, how this has damaged them even more than where we were anyway, moving forward, is the fact that any team in this league can look at Leicester and think if you stick it on them, they crumble. But where we've not done that is where we've scored more than 2 goals. And we've sort of now we've done that. Now even if a team scores 3, if Leicester score 3 against a team and there's long enough left, Southampton did it, why can't we? And that's the problem with everything that's happening at the minute. And it just feels there's inevitability about losing our position in this league as well. Not just in games, I think in the league. That's what it feels like, especially after that performance.
Do you think that something radical needs to happen in the short term? Do they need to basically drop everything and go and get a manager? I've been stunned at the lack of news, information there has been about that. I guess that might be because Andy King's a popular figure. People are happy for him to hold the fort for the time being. But
well, I'll tell you what it is. It's 2 things. It's that you've got one of them spot on. I think the club would have been expecting, Top and John would have been expecting a loved figure, a liked member of the group. All these players would have known him, respected his record at this football club. He's obviously been here as a coach as well, so they knew him well. Really super nice guy. Kingy. They would have thought for a legend like that, who's a nice guy, going to be well liked in the dressing room, he's going to get a bounce from this group. And then Kingy can always turn around and say, the reason why I've not got that, I got them red cards. But now I think you've got to look at it and you've got to think, even for a legend, when they don't get a red card, they're letting him down. It's going to take a super skilled manager. Forget tactics. It's not tactics that this group need. They're good enough players tactically. I didn't agree with one of the guys that rang in and said they're a bunch of average players. They're not. There's some super talented players in this group.
They're playing like below average players.
Yeah, of course they are. But this group has got a mentality problem. They're weak. They fold. We've seen what they can do technically in the first half. That's a representation of this football club and the players at it when things are going well. The problem is, and especially with Championship football, teams turn it up on you. They don't care about looking pretty. They don't care about passing out from the back. If I know I'm coming to Leicester and the way to beat them is get in their face, be aggressive, even if we go 1 down, keep going. If we go 2 down, keep going. If we go 3 down, all we've got to do is nick a goal against this lot and we'll make them turn. We'll make them fold. They've got weak mentalities, and I'm telling you, it starts with the chairman, and it is filtered all the way through the football club, and we've let it fester for too long, and that's why you get half a stadium When you're playing a top team like Southampton, people don't want to turn up and watch this group. You get to 3-0 at half-time, and staff members of Leicester are making jokes to me, saying, don't trust them yet. They even know. Yeah. They even know. It's an absolute joke.
So what does Andy King do from here? And what do you do? This is the million-dollar question, and I accept that it's been very difficult for anyone to find an answer to this question over the last 3 years, bar Enzo Maresca probably. But I'm just trying to think about tomorrow. What would you expect as a player? What would you expect as a coach to be doing with this team? Is this the sort of thing where you make them run 5 miles and you make them lift heavy weights? You sit them down and you lecture them and you scream at them and you shout at them. How on earth do you wake people out of this slumber, basically?
You need a very skilled. This is what I was going on to. Sorry, I go off on them rants and I forget what I'm about to say. You need a very skilled motivator. He's obviously got to be a manager, and he's got to be, he's got to have some tactical nous about him, but he needs to be a motivator. Someone like a Nigel Pearson. I know Nigel's not going to come and take it. He's not too well at the minute, but a Martin O'Neill, that kind of character, to try and help save this season so we don't go down. That's what I would be doing initially. But the second point I was coming on to for you, Adam, was you made the point of King, and I said there's a second point. The second point is no one wants this job. Yeah. No one wants it. No top manager that's worth his salt at the minute wants to come to Leicester City, one work under top and one work alongside the board and the hierarchy, because they see it's toxic. I think people like Graham Potter turned it down twice.
Jesse Marsh turned it down, you will remember.
Jesse Marsh turned it down. There's a lot of people that have turned this football club down of recent years, and it's because there's a problem at the higher echelons of the football club, and that has filtered all the way down. We've let it fester, and it's just going to keep getting worse unless something drastically changes at the higher level of the football club.
Well, Andy King has just popped out to do the in-house interview. Goodness me, look at that body language. He is utterly crestfallen, isn't he? I'm glad I'm not doing that interview, as he walks down the tunnel, hands in pockets, and is being spoken to by one of the press officers.
Well, they're probably trying to calm him down, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Because he's going to have all sorts of thoughts going on in his head at the minute. He's obviously a legend of the club. He don't want to let the club down, the fans down. He will feel like he's done that over these last 3 games, especially this game tonight. But I would remind him, you know what I would do? Why it wouldn't harm his coaching career going forward. Obviously, he's got to learn. He's made mistakes in all 3 of these games, and especially tonight. I think he could have, changed some of the things earlier. He could have made some different decisions, of course. But ultimately, that was the group on the pitch that lost that game, and how weak mentally they are. So I wouldn't be pointing at King so much. Yes, he could have done more, but if I was him moving forward in a football career, anywhere he goes for a job and he thinks this is going to taint his CV, just put all them players in front of you. Yeah. That's what I would do. I'd put them all in front and say everyone knew that group was a joke, absolute joke. And then powers above me, the King Power, and the board members at Leicester. The way that they were running the football club at the time that I took over. No support, no help, no guidance, no leadership. Don't expect anything from me in 3 games as interim.
What has shone through in his interviews has been the passion he clearly has for the club, but also the high standards of the place as well. That it's implicit in some of the answers that he has given. It's implicit in the body language you're seeing there, that those standards aren't being met. And it doesn't feel like... This is also the guy who, let's not forget, can remember the League One times, can remember the Championship times. This is not the guy who just won the Premier League and just knows the glory days and loves the glory days. This is a guy who clearly can see... You can see it in his behaviour, can't you, really? That he feels that the standards that this club should represent aren't being met at the moment. I think that's so telling.
100%. And for fans, I mean, you can sort of put it together logically. When you sit back and you see half-filled stadiums, shocking results, on and off the football pitch, disjointed at boardroom level, no real leadership. You can sort of logically make a informed guess, because that's all it is, because we don't know, that, you know, Top's not a good leader. He's not cut, you know, from the same leadership qualities as his father was. I think, you know, I met him a few times. I think he's a real nice bloke. The family have been brilliant to us. But what are we really interested in reading in about 10 years' time, when some of these players and the ones that have just left previously have retired, and I bet you now, in some of those autobiographies, it will say the standards, the way that the club was run, the leadership, the direction of the father to win the Premier League and to put in place everything that allowed this club to go and be a success for 10 years. When Top took over, that all changed, you know, and that's the results that we're seeing now. That's what I'm pretty sure will be said, and that's why it is time to sell and let, you know, Top enjoy, you know, the King Power. Go and buy another football club, go and have another project, go and put it into the horses or whatever it is. But I just don't think this is the vehicle for him moving forward. He hasn't got the passion, he hasn't got the wisdom, and he hasn't got the knowledge and the leadership skills that his dad had, and he does need to sell it.
Well, don't go anywhere. We will get more reaction from the Foxes camp, including from interim manager Andy King. An extraordinary interview with him. That's to come in just a second.
When You're Smiling, a Leicester City podcast.
Let's hear, though, some reaction from the Foxes camp and the playing team. Asmir Begovic has been brave enough to stand in front of the media and speak to Owen. And here's a short preview of what he said. You'll hear the full thing on Thursdays When You're Smiling.
Yeah, but a game of two halves. I think it's clear for everyone to see. I think first half is really as good as we've played, really, is probably as good as it gets. And then, you know, second half, as soon as you start to concede, and we couldn't hold out long enough, and I think you give them momentum, belief as soon as they get the first, and, you know, with the situation where we kind of capitulate a little bit. So I think, well, there's no other way but to keep going. You have to learn fast, and you know, take it on the chin, and still keep improving those details that are costing us games at the moment, and you know, you have to keep going and look forward to the next game and try and put it right.
Asmir Begovic there.
Listen, I like him, but it's just the same as what we've been hearing from all these other players. You can't come out and talk like that in an interview after a fold like that.
I should say to listeners, I laughed out loud when I heard Game of Two Halves.
It was a game of two halves, but it's one of the worst halves I've ever seen in the history of football. The second one. How can you lose 4-3 when you're 3-0 up at half time?
Yeah, I think that's.
I'm just, the players this season. Like, I know it's easy for me to say because I'm not a footballer anymore, and even when I was, I didn't really have a long and illustrious career. I know I didn't, but I did always try and tell the truth. When we were terrible, I used to be like, yeah, we were shocking, and we need to do much better than that. These lot come out and say, yeah, we tried our best, but. We know we've got to do better, but we're putting it right. We're all still friends in the dressing. Look, fans. I can't talk for all the fans, but me especially. I hate to hear interviews like that. I want to hear passion, especially when things are going this wrong. I want to hear someone doing something about it. And whoever was it, Rudds, who texted in and said he's about done with this football club. Honestly, I never thought I'd say it. And I'm not just a fair weather fan, because I will stick with this group, but you've got to show me something as well. Like hierarchy, board, players. Like, if you want me to support this football club, you got to show me something as well. And no one's showing anything at the minute, and that's why I'm so disillusioned with it. I was supposed to do Birmingham at the weekend. I'm so pleased Michael Morrison sort of stepped in. I thought, I ain't going there, we're going to lose, and I'm just going to lose my head. And I don't like talking like this. I live my life, mate, all about, and listen, I'm not rainbows and fairy dust or whatever you want to call it all the time, but I try and be a positive guy, and I don't like talking down about people, things, places, and especially my football club. But when it's this bad, you have to say it. And I keep saying to my missus, I don't want to do it no more. I honestly don't. But you know the weird position this has put me in. If I say now that I ain't doing it after this season, people will think it's because we've gone down to League One. So it's like, oh, you're going to have to do it for a bit longer. I don't want to do it anymore. That's why and I'm not saying this for effect, I really don't want to do it anymore. Like, I love this job. I love working with you, Owen, Jack, all of you at the BBC, but watching this every week drains you. And it honestly, it's made me not want to do this job anymore.
Well, on that note, shall we hear from Andy King, the Leicester City head interim manager? He's been speaking with Owen Palmer-Atkin.
Andy, what on earth happened there?
First of all, I want to start the interview. Apologise for that last half an hour. Completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. Obviously, the feeling I have in the moment is sheer anger towards the performance. Unacceptable, angry. It will take a bit of time to probably process. Need to watch it back, see what happened. Passive, not good enough.
I know, like you say, it's very raw at the moment. When your initial thoughts are, when you look back on it, how does that kind of thing happen when you are 3-0 up and again in that final half an hour? I think it was 61 minutes. It was still 3-0, and then to lose 4-3. How you've been out there, you've played in many games in your career. How does that happen?
I think probably lack of character, lack of leadership, stuff which we said about before. And it's been almost a pattern throughout the season. We do some good bits in good spells, and then we almost have a spell of the game where we just go under. Like I say, I'm angry at the moment. I don't want to speak out of turn or anything like that, so I need to watch it back. I need to properly analyse it. I need a bit of time to reflect on it. Like I say, I fully apologise for it. That's all where I'm sat with it at the moment.
You talked there about lack of leadership and a lack of character. Has that been indicative, do you think, of the season as a whole? Has that been kind of the fundamental trend of what has caused the season to go the way it has, or is that unfair?
No, I think you've seen today probably in a nutshell our season, right? So we've seen some brilliant football, some goals, some really good stuff, and then you've seen some stuff which is almost is unacceptable. And we've seen both sides of that today. I think it's probably our season in a nutshell is today. Come out of another loss, some good stuff, but second half, like you say, last half an hour, from my point of view, like I keep saying, apologies, completely unacceptable.
What did you say to the players at full time?
Probably best if it stays inside. It's probably best if it stays inside the change room. I don't think that's one for public knowledge.
The fans will obviously go home bitterly disappointed, angry, probably feeling exactly the way that you are tonight. And I suppose one of the things that they might have been feeling was a sense of inevitability when the first goal goes in. And we talked about in commentary your reaction when that first goal went in. Did you kind of not necessarily have that feeling that you were going to go on and the game was going to go that way? But it's again, that's been another part of this season, hasn't it? That when the first goal goes in, the confidence really seems to crumble.
Yeah, sense of anger when the first goal goes in, it's so avoidable. Again, passive out wide, don't stop the cross, and then it's too easy for someone just to walk into the box and score, and all of a sudden they haven't had to do much to score, and it's 3-1, and like you say, you're going to be backs against the wall. So that was where it came from. We had tried to make a big emphasis at half time about keep playing the same way and keep doing the same things, and for the start of the half it wasn't like a Bristol City where we concede after 30 seconds into the second half. You get your way back into the game, you do some okay stuff, and then they score one, and sort of the whole thing falls down.
I guess those fans will also be asking whether these players kind of have it in them, the kind of fight, and whether they're able to trust them to make sure they get over the line come the end of the season and are a championship club next season.
Yeah, potentially. Like I said, I want to obviously have to reflect on the game and have to watch it back myself. I don't want to speak at the moment about stuff like that when obviously I'm in a state of anger and frustration. Maybe ask that one at a different time.
And just finally, no Jeremy Mongo or Yannick Vestergaard in the squad tonight. Is that injuries for those pair?
Yeah, a couple of issues. Yannick will be longer. Jez should be okay for the weekend.
What is the injury with Yannick, and how long do you expect to be without him for?
He's had his hernia done, so probably 4 to 6 weeks, I would say.
Andy King, quite extraordinary interview, Matt Piper. There was a man who was trying to rein in his emotions as well as possible. He probably did quite a good job, but I think we could all hear how he felt and I guess the wider feeling about the team that he's in charge of at the moment.
Yeah, and don't forget, he's probably, he'll take some of that blame as well. But he's obviously really fresh to coaching and management, and I know he knows the game, but when you're under that pressure, and I'm not making excuses for him, I like the kid, but he did make mistakes, but I'm just not pointing the main finger at him. It's everywhere else that I'm pointing it. But you know why it probably hurts him even more? Because he played for the club when he was with a group of players, whether it was League One, Championship or Premier League, that forget the accolades, not the big things that he won at this football club. He played with groups of players that didn't have that type of mentality whatsoever, and the chairman didn't have this type of mentality what we have at the minute. So he probably looks at it as a standards issue, and I think that's why he's used that term previously. The standards are just not there. And it does start at the top, and it's filtered all the way through, and now it's on the pitch. And if we're not careful, it's going to filter all the way through, if it's not already at the training ground and some of the youth ages, because that's what happens when it starts festering and you don't cut it out and change it when you get the opportunity to. It will just keep infiltrating the club and going deeper and deeper in, and we don't want that.
Pipes, thank you very, very much indeed. An extraordinary night at King Power Stadium, and in 18 months of misery, perhaps this has been the nadir, and whether it will get better or worse from here is another question. We will pore over this on Thursday on the Boot Room with Owen and some special guests, where we look at this and what can happen next to save this club, which seems in free fall at the moment. But from Pipes and from me, thank you very much indeed for downloading, and if you haven't subscribed already, top right hand corner of your screen, and you can do that for all the Leicester City content that you need.